And hello, Wisconsin. 4 days from now, can you believe 4 days? 4 days from now, we are going to win Wisconsin, and we're going to win 4 more years for the people's president, my father, Donald J. Trump. Before my father ran for office, politics was not my life. Like many of you, I was a busy working mom, 3 young children, 3 very energetic young children. But when I came to Washington, I quickly learned why the political establishment tried so hard to keep my father out of office. In the swamp, it's easy for politicians to survive if they silence their convictions and skip the hard fights. I was shocked to see how many people leave major challenges unsolved so they can blame the other side and campaign on the same issue in the next election. You've all seen it too many times. But Donald Trump did not come to Washington to win the praise of the Beltway elite. Donald Trump came to Washington for one reason, and one reason only: to make America great again. For the first time in a long time, we have a president who's called out Washington's hypocrisy, and they hate him for it. My father has strong convictions. He knows what he believes, and he says what he thinks. Always. Whether or not you agree with him, you always know where he stands. I recognize, maybe not with this group, but I recognize to some that his communication style is not to their taste, and that his tweets can feel a bit unfiltered. No. But the results, they speak for themselves. Unlike politicians, when my father makes a promise, he keeps his promise. Isn't it amazing how rare that is? It's shocking. In less than 4 years, President Trump has rebuilt the military, secured America's borders, defeated the ISIS caliphate, fostered peace in the Middle East, delivered historic tax and regulatory cuts, and fixed our broken trade deals that brought jobs back to America and back to Wisconsin. President Trump has done more for Wisconsin in 47 months than Joe Biden has done in 47 years. Everything that all of us hold dear is at stake in this election. The Democrat Party is not what they used to be. I'm sure we have a few former Democrats out there. I meet all across the country Trump supporters who used to be Democrats. The new platform lays out a plan to transform America into a socialist country. If you want a future of jobs, safety, opportunity, and freedom, there is one choice in this election, and that's Donald J. Trump. A few days ago, our president fulfilled another promise. America gained its newest member of the Supreme Court, Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Extraordinary. As long as my father is president, he will protect our rights enshrined in the Constitution, including the right to bear arms, the right to religious liberty, and the right to free speech. In recent months, here in Madison and in other communities across Wisconsin, businesses have been destroyed and innocent people have been harmed by violent riots. President Trump will always protect the right to peacefully protest and the right to free speech, but there's no excuse for riots and for attacking the brave and selfless officers who risk their lives every day to rescue the innocent from danger. We want safe communities for our children, and that's why Americans will always back the blue. Today, we're honored to be joined by Wisconsin Fraternal Order of Police President, Ryan Windoff. Ryan, where are you? Ryan has served in law enforcement for 10 years. He and his wife have 3 young children. As one of the youngest FOP presidents, Ryan ran because he cares deeply about serving his community. He is working to recruit the most outstanding men and women to serve in law enforcement and to promote the highest standards of policing. Ryan, thank you for your devotion to keeping Americans safe. And now, if you'd like to come up on stage, wherever you are, I think I saw you, there you are. Come up on stage and please say a few words. It'd be an honor. Big hand for Ryan. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ivanka. I appreciate the kind words. In September, the Fraternal Order of Police announced that on behalf of our 356,000 law enforcement officers across this country that we represent, we unanimously endorsed President Trump for re-election. The endorsement was not given lightly. It was earned by President Trump. In an era where we have politicians calling us the enemy, calling for defunding the police, President Trump has steadfast supported law enforcement. Make no mistake, defunding the police is not going to eliminate crime and violence. It's only going to affect our communities negatively, put our citizens in danger, and put our law enforcement officers in danger as well. Instead, we need to invest in the police and give them the resources they need. We need to invest in community-based solutions to address poverty, substance abuse, and mental health, instead of calling on law enforcement to be the Band-Aid for everything that ails our society. The Fraternal Order of Police is committed to effective, balanced, and common sense improvements in law enforcement today. When the people fear the police, we have a job to rebuild that community trust. And that job starts with a president who loves our country, who respects law and order, and who supports law enforcement. That job starts with 4 more years of Donald Trump. We look forward to working with President Trump and the Trump administration in addressing these complex issues, and we look forward to doing our part to making America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ryan, you and law enforcement deserve that applause and then some. What a great job you do. Amazing. My father, our president, will always, always stand with the brave men and women of law enforcement. As our nation confronts an unprecedented global pandemic, President Trump launched the largest industrial mobilization since World War II. He made sure every governor had the supplies they needed, from military hospitals to PPE to ventilators. Remember what they were saying about ventilators? Not one American who needed a ventilator went without one. Not one. Thanks to America's medical genius, the mortality rate has declined by 85% since April of this year. The president's early and aggressive action to stop travel from China and Europe saved an estimated 2 million lives. Through Operation Warp Speed, we are on track to deliver a safe and effective vaccine before the end of the year. And I can say, having spoken to so many of the doctors and scientists about this, he took a process that would have normally been 5 to 6 years and made it 5 to 6 months by streamlining bureaucracy without compromising safety. It's extraordinary. We have built up supplies testing and treatments, and we are protecting the vulnerable while healthy Americans go back to work and back to school. Gotta open up. In the last 5 months, we have added a historic 11.4 million jobs. Through the Paycheck Protection Program, we have helped save 1 million Wisconsin jobs. It's amazing. This money went directly to America's small businesses, the heart and soul of so many communities, but also the employers of 47% of America's workforce. This was a lifeline that helped them stay alive during this period of time, make payroll, make their rent payments. So this was such a great program. Just to give you a sense of the scale of it, in 14 days, the Small Business Administration, this is not exactly a nimble operation traditionally, right? It's a federal government large agency. In 14 days, they issued more loans to America's small businesses than in the 14 years prior. An amazing effort. Just yesterday, it was announced that last quarter, our GDP grew by an astonishing 33.1%, the single largest GDP gain in American history. The V, it's happening. Thanks to President Trump, our economy is coming back stronger than ever. Joe Biden said he would shut down our entire country. But to what end? Permanent lockdowns is not a strategy. It's not a strategy. President Trump will never surrender to the virus. He will defeat the plague, bring back your jobs, and end this pandemic once and for all. Time and time again, I've seen my father's relentless determination to deliver for you, the American people. One of the issues that was central to his campaign in 2016 was fair and reciprocal trade. But when President Trump got to Washington, many politicians, including Republicans, resisted any change. I'll never forget what my father told me once after a long trade policy meeting. He said, "You know, the reason this has never been done before is because our leaders, they haven't had the guts. When things are good, they settle for good. And when things are bad, they don't have the will or ability, so they kick the can till it's someone else's problem." And I know he's right. If he hadn't have taken on these fights, no one would. A lot of pushback. I remember very clearly each time he was updated on the progress of the new trade deal with Mexico and Canada. And he said, and I think you guys may like this, he'd say, "Don't let down those dairy farmers I met in Wisconsin. I don't want them to like this deal. I want them to love it." For the president, policy is about people. It's about people. In the months that followed, President Trump refused to settle for a good deal. He wanted a great deal, and that's exactly what we got. Under USMCA, our dairy exports to Canada are expected to surge by over 50%. I've noticed recently, you may have as well, that Joe Biden likes to plagiarize our president's Made in America agenda. Have you noticed that? The fact that he can't escape, however, is that he supported every disastrous trade deal that shipped our factories and great-paying American jobs overseas. While Joe Biden was vice president, America lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs alone. In the first 3 years of the Trump administration, America gained 500,000 manufacturing jobs. The magic wand. Wisconsin lost over 66,000 manufacturing jobs after Biden helped enact the job-killing NAFTA and disastrous trade deals with China. As my father likes to say, Joe Biden should not be demanding the support of American workers. He should be begging for your forgiveness. President Trump is advancing the American values of work and family. We secured the largest ever increase for child care funding, giving over 800,000 low-income families great child care at a cost that they can afford. As part of Republican tax cuts, in 2019 alone, our child tax credit put over $2,000 into the pockets of 40 million American families. Amazing. Democrat politicians recently introduced a plan to increase the child tax credit. Yet when I was fighting 3 years ago at the president's direction to get Congress to double that same credit, not a single Democrat voted to pass the law. We got it done anyway. And now Joe Biden has pledged to raise taxes on working families by $4 trillion. Can't let it happen. Won't let it happen. In his second term, President Trump will cut taxes again, and he will create 10 million jobs in 10 months. President Trump has created the most inclusive economy in American history, one that permits people to rise again. During President Trump's first 3 years in office, 72% of new jobs were secured by Americans outside of the workforce. Think about that, 72%. People who hadn't been working, hadn't even been looking for work. They came back into the labor market because wages were rising, because employers were being more creative about where they were finding people and equipping them with the skills they needed to fill their job vacancies, 72%. Through our pledge to America's workers, we called upon the private sector to hire and train 16 million Americans for the jobs of today and the careers of tomorrow. In a second term, we will provide vocational education to every high school student in America and expand school choice. So important. School choice benefits over 90,000 Wisconsin students, 90,000. Here with us today are Maggie and Ethan Smith and their two young children, Lucy and Gabe. Hi, come on up here. I'm going to get you guys to say a few words if you don't mind. I'm putting them on the spot now, but it's so incredible. You want to come, Lucy? You don't have to. I'd be nervous too. You're a brave little girl. This beautiful family, like so many others, felt that it was important for their children to have a quality faith-based education. So Maggie helped start the small classical school in Green Bay called St. John Paul II. Now she teaches 4th grade, and her children are able to receive an excellent education at an affordable price. As Maggie says, school choice is a huge gift. It's freeing for parents. Maggie, thank you for your devotion, and thank you for helping educate so many amazing Wisconsinites. Thank you.
Can people see you even? I don't know. Thank you.
Look at that smile.
He's a charmer. This is a winner here. We are just so grateful to be here, Miss Trump, and a very happy birthday to you. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say we're really glad you can spend your birthday in the great state of Wisconsin. We're just ordinary, average, typical, even our last name, Smith, it's pretty typical. We're just a working class American family, and we unabashedly support our President Donald Trump, because he unabashedly supports us. And our desires to have children, I'm 5 months pregnant, so I might be a little emotional up here. Earn a good living and keep it, and give our children a great education. The greatest gift a parent could possibly give to their child. So to protect these privileges and our basic rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, let's give President Donald Trump another Red Wisconsin in 2020. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Maggie.
Thank you. Did you say bye?
It's so cute. Maggie, you're amazing. Thank you. And I think I can speak for a lot of parents in this group today when I say that my appreciation for our nation's educators was through the roof prior to this pandemic, but it's been taken to a whole nother level. So thank you all for what you do. It's amazing, extraordinary. As a society, we have a duty to ensure that every child has the best chance to pursue their dreams, find their purpose, and ultimately, like those two beautiful kiddos, change the world. Joe Biden opposes school choice, and he has pledged that if he is elected, charter schools will be, and I quote him now, gone. President Trump will pass legislation to give every parent in America school choice. That's what they should have. While Democrats are focused on making Americans dependent on Washington, we are focused on liberating all Americans and freeing them to thrive. That's the difference. To revitalize neglected communities, we created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones, including over 120 here in Wisconsin. It was President Trump who rectified the disparities of the 1994 Biden crime bill that disproportionately hurt African Americans. Against all odds, he signed into law the most comprehensive criminal justice reform of our generation. Working with the police for the reforms, collaborating with them. Many of the issues my father has championed are not historically Republican priorities. Yet where Washington chooses sides, our president chooses common sense. Where politicians choose party, our president chooses people. Since the day he took the oath of office, I've watched my father take on the failed policies of the past and do what no leader had done before. As an example, Joe Biden was one of the biggest champions of Big Pharma, allowing them to rip off millions of American patients. My father, well, he's beholden to no one other than you, the American people. President Trump took action to dramatically cut the cost of prescription drugs, despite fielding angry calls from the CEOs of nearly every major pharmaceutical company. I was there for many of them. They were not happy. They were not happy. Now, when we see an attack ad, I'm sure you've seen a couple of these, paid for by Big Pharma, my dad looks at me and he'll smile and say, you know, we've got to be doing something really right if they're hitting us this hard. And that's the truth. President Trump will always protect Social Security, Medicare, and patients with pre-existing conditions. Our president has also achieved the unthinkable, energy independence. Imagine if I had said that 2 decades ago. Energy independence. The United States is now a net exporter of oil and natural gas. Very importantly, we are no longer dependent on foreign nation for our country's energy needs. my father's not afraid of questioning old conventions and finding bold solutions to care for hardworking Americans. At the outset of the pandemic, our president saw what many of you saw, American crops going to waste, while long lines at food banks stretched around the block. He called me and directed me to find a way to get this nutritious food, fresh fruit, produce, dairy, meat, from our family farms to individuals most in need. Within a matter of weeks, we launched the wildly successful Farmers to Family Food Box program and have since delivered more than 100 million meals into the hands of American families. Amazing program. And you know, the faith community has been so strong in this effort as well, helping us get the food from the farms to the families. So just an amazing effort. And it shows his creativity, responding nimbly to very challenging situations. Another thing that I'm really, really proud of is the work he's done to protect the most vulnerable among us. I've worked alongside the president as he signed into law 9 pieces of legislation to combat the evil of human trafficking and online child exploitation. There's no greater darkness, and yet no one was talking about this. No one until this president. He will stamp it out once and for all. To change the paradigm in the Middle East, President Trump took a fresh approach. I heard foreign leaders beg him not to move the American embassy to Jerusalem, yet he delivered on a promise also made yet unfulfilled by so many past presidents because it was the right thing to do. Defying all expectations, just last week, he brokered a peace agreement between Sudan and Israel, the 3rd such agreement between Israel and an Arab nation in under 3 months. Amazing. President Trump is advancing peace through strength. He is ending the endless foreign wars and bringing home our soldiers, our sailors, our airmen, and our Marines, home where they belong. He is the peace president. I agree. The legendary Winston Churchill once said, "It was a nation that had the lion heart. I just had the luck to give it the roar." This reminds me so much of our president and this movement. He has truly given us the roar. Here in America, at this critical hour, we the people choose President Trump. My father is so unapologetic about his beliefs that he has caused me and countless Americans to look at our own convictions and ask ourselves, what do we stand for? What kind of America do we want to leave for our children? I'm more certain than ever before, we want a future where our kids can believe in American greatness. We want a society where every child can live in a safe community and go to a school of their choice. We want a culture where differences of opinion and debate are encouraged, not canceled, where law enforcement is respected, where our country's rich diversity is celebrated, and where people of all backgrounds, races, genders, and creeds have a chance to achieve their God-given potential. This is the future my father is working to secure each and every day. Washington? Well, Washington has not changed Donald Trump. Donald Trump has changed Washington. And he'll keep doing it. America does not need another empty vessel who will do whatever the media and the fringe of his party demands. Now more than ever, America needs 4 more years of a warrior in the White House. My father fights so hard every single day for each one of us, and now we have a chance to fight for him and fight for the future of this country. With your help, your voice, and your vote, on November 3rd, we will win another historic victory, and together we will make America greater than ever before. Thank you, Wisconsin, and God bless you.